Hey everyone, and welcome to The Explainer. Today we're jumping straight into the true mechanics of something that literally separates the dreamers from the doers. We're talking about relentless consistency and the art of discipline. We are going to break down exactly why some people seem to just effortlessly push through barriers, while the rest of us kind of struggle to even get started. Get ready because we're completely rewriting the rulebook on how to actually achieve your goals.
Okay, let's look at this quote because it's a real game changer. We've all been conditioned to think that discipline is some kind of punishment, right? Like it's all about restricting yourself, not getting to eat what you want, or missing out on the fun. But that completely misses the mark. Discipline isn't a penalty at all. It is simply prioritizing the needs of your future self ahead of your present self. You are literally just taking care of the future you. When you shift your perspective to see discipline as an act of future self-care, it immediately shatters all that dread we usually associate with it.
Section 1, the illusion of motivation, and why starting is the perfect condition. So, we often falsely believe we need this steady, magical stream of motivation to begin anything. We wait until we're perfectly rested, the weather's right, or the stars just magically align. But discipline looks entirely different. Highly successful people, they don't wait, they just confront the work regardless of the conditions. Starting actually is the perfect condition. If you wait around until you genuinely feel like doing hard things, well, you're going to be waiting forever. Here's a secret most people totally miss. What looks like this grueling, agonizing discipline from the outside is usually just a really well-established habit. You see someone waking up at 5 a.m. to hit the gym and you think, wow, no way, they have so much discipline. But for them, it's just what they do. It's a habit. Discipline is really only needed at the very beginning. You literally just need a teaspoon of willpower to spark the habit, and once that engine is running, momentum takes over the whole shebang. Moving on to Section 2, embracing the lonely chapter and the hidden cost of growth. The lonely chapter. The crucial point here is that feeling isolated isn't a bug in your journey, it's actually a guaranteed feature. If you stop drinking, or you start a business, or you really commit to the gym, your old friends might not speak your new language anymore. You're suddenly too developed for your old routines, but you haven't quite found that new community that aligns with your future self yet. And yeah, that friction is super uncomfortable. But you have to understand that this uncomfortability is supposed to be there. It means you are genuinely growing. And, while you're in that lonely chapter, you might encounter a pretty dangerous trap: productivity dysmorphia. Ambitious people often act like a ruthless drill sergeant toward themselves. You can have a massively productive day, but your brain flat out refuses to acknowledge the win. Instead, you wake up feeling like you're already in productivity debt. And if you absolutely crush the day, you only feel like you fought your way back to a draw. Never a win, just a draw. We absolutely have to recognize this illusion to keep our sanity. Consider this powerful analogy. The universe naturally wants you to be typical. There's this massive gravitational pull toward the average. Just like a rocket needs maximum fuel right at the launch pad to break out of gravity, differentiating yourself costs massive initial energy. You are going to face enormous resistance when you first try to change. Use the chip on your shoulder, use your discontent, use whatever fuel you have at the launch pad to reach that escape velocity. All right, Section 3, redefining success and the danger of adding more. It's a really dangerous trap to trade hidden, fulfilling metrics for observable ones simply because society can easily see them. We so often trade a longer commute, which reliably makes humans miserable, by the way, for a slightly better job title or a little bump in salary. We trade peace of mind and time with our families for a fancy car. If you already have a comfortable quality of life, trading your peace for an observable metric is just a bad choice that's going to leave you empty. Think about it like this. What actually happens when you load up your plate at an all-you-can-eat buffet? You put on the steak, the potatoes, the pasta, the dessert, thinking you can handle it all, right? But here's the reality. Your stomach won't magically expand to fit the food. And exactly the same thing is true for your life. Your work capacity won't magically expand to fit 5 massive new goals for the year. If you want to pick a new goal up, you absolutely must put an old one down. We are so utterly obsessed with addition that we completely forget about subtraction. To be consistently successful, you have to rigorously subtract the distractions. Section 4, the neuroscience of discipline and the biology of willpower. For centuries, willpower was just seen as this abstract concept, right? Like a character trait you either had or you didn't. But neuroscientists recently asked this exact question, and what they found is a groundbreaking physical reality. Willpower lives right here, The anterior mid-cingulate cortex. Willpower is quite literally a physical muscle inside our heads. Scientists are now pointing to this specific brain structure not just as the seat of discipline, but perhaps the literal seat of the will to live. But the real question is, how do we make it stronger? Well, here is the truly mind-blowing part. This brain area only grows when you do things you actively do not want to do. If you love taking cold ice baths, your anterior mid-cingulate cortex does not grow a single inch when you jump in one. But if you are terrified of the cold water, if you genuinely hate it, and you force yourself to do it anyway, that is when the brain area physically gets bigger. The resistance itself is literally the only thing that causes the growth. Section 5. The Blueprint for Consistency. Actionable steps to master discipline. Okay, so these are your 3 core pillars. First, prioritize adequate sleep. You cannot be disciplined if your brain is utterly exhausted. A good night of sleep starts the moment you wake up, and a clear plan made the night before is the true bedrock of waking up with discipline. Second is time blocking, and third is practicing emotional maturity. Let's actually break those last 2 down a bit more. You have got to understand your natural biological rhythms. From roughly 6 a.m. to noon, that is your golden window. You should try to tackle one cognitively hard thing and one physically hard thing in those prime early hours. By the second block, noon to 6 p.m., your peak energy is fading, making it ideal for secondary tasks, and the final block is essential for the rest and reset that fuels tomorrow's willpower. Work with your biology, not against it. And this brings us to emotional maturity. The emotionally immature person lets a bad night of sleep or a rainy day dictate their actions. They say, I feel bad today, so I just won't do the work. But the emotionally mature person understands that conditions will rarely be perfect. Emotional maturity is the ability to stay the course, stack your wins, and lean into discipline regardless of how suboptimal the present moment feels. I want to leave you with a final provocative thought. It sounds a little harsh at first, but it's actually incredibly liberating. In 3 generations, nobody is going to remember your name. The universe doesn't care if you fail. So why are you taking yourself so seriously? Why are you putting off your happiness and waiting for the perfect time to start living? Drop the excuses, confront the work, and build that future self today. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer. If you found value in this breakdown and want to keep building that anterior mid-cingulate cortex with us, do not forget to subscribe, hit that like button, and drop a comment below on what your biggest takeaway was. Keep showing up, and I'll see you in the next one.